Welcome back, everybody. Now, Nuzo and Namia is a new animation show around 7-year-old twins Nuzo and Namia, who share a deep bond with their adventurous grandmother. When their grandmother passes away, the twins move into her house to cope with the loss. Inside, they discover a magical bookshelf that transports them to different African countries in each episode. And to share more on this series, we joined via Zoom by the spokesperson of the Ubongo, the production company, Iman Lipumba. Iman, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you. Good morning to you too.
Good morning. Good to have you on the show this morning. Talk to us about the story of Nuzo and Namia. I mean, that's especially produced to cater for children between the ages of 7 and 14.
Yes, thank you for sharing the synopsis. So essentially, Ubongo is a learning nonprofit, and we use the power of storytelling and mass media to reach kids across Africa with transformative learning through TV, radio, and other digital programs. So Nuzo and Namia is our third show, and it was designed to help children between the ages of 6 to 9 develop their literacy and reading comprehension, as well as it was designed to be accessible to kids with neurodiversity. So these are children with autism and ADHD.
And having, and in terms of developing comprehension, as you've said, and improving literacy, which subject matters do you touch on?
Yeah, so there are quite a bit of different details, things like phonetics, how to associate text and illustrations with reading. So there's a lot of developmental things that are happening at that age with children, where they've learned how to speak and they've learned how to enunciate. However, they're still developing how to associate, words with meaning and story, right? And so literacy and reading comprehension is a really kind of developmental milestone at that age group. And a lot of the research out there shows that most African children are pretty behind. I think the stat is around 87% of kids at the 4th grade can't read a single sentence. And so the show is really designed based off of, developmental science and psychology, as well as research to support children on that learning journey.
And what message are you trying to get across to the kids and the parents? And do you think that this is the effective medium to get it across?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the research, there's a wealth of research both about Ubongo and our shows, but also about using, mass media and storytelling as a learning resource that shows that there's a lot of effectiveness in using these mediums to help children learn. You're reaching a big group of kids at a massive scale. And depending on how the show is designed, for example, our show goes through a very comprehensive research process that includes different stakeholders, from kids to educators to caregivers and experts, right? So we design with our audience to ensure that the product is meaningful to them. Right. And so for that reason, the medium is really, really effective. And then in terms of the message, there are multiple messages, but the main one for caregivers is that, our children are extremely diverse, and the human beings and the human mind is diverse. And so children learn in different ways, and kids with different neurodiversities are just an example of that learning diversity that we have in the human species. And we're supporting parents to understand this better, and also to develop certain skills and tools to support, the neurodiverse children and all children in their lives. And then, of course, there's the fun addition of learning about different African cultures and African history as we become a more, global and more connected continent.
Let's now talk about the planning and the pre-production of this series, and how you made sure that the target market is intrigued in each episode.
Yeah, so kind of going back to our research process, from the very beginning, we do a comprehensive research analysis with different stakeholders across different countries, because we're a Pan-African country and the show is airing in multiple languages in multiple countries. And so we do extensive research with education stakeholders to look at the curriculum and understand how literacy and reading comprehension is taught in different countries and for different age groups. And we do, focus groups and testing with caregivers and with kids themselves from different backgrounds, kids in urban areas and rural areas. We go into diverse communities like, kids in refugee camps. And of course, for this show, we worked very closely, with children with autism and caregivers and supporters of kids with autism to really develop the curriculum and the themes of the show. And then once we go into actually the content design, because this was a new show, we designed all our characters with kids and got their feedback. We designed the synopsis with children, right, and tweaked it based off of their feedback and receptivity, and even the episodes themselves, from the script to the storyboarding and the animation. All of this is always reviewed with kids and different stakeholders, and we input their feedback to improve upon the final product.
I quite like what you said earlier, that this seeks to promote Africanness since we're a global community. And I understand the plan is now to translate this into 12 languages. Share more on how that will play out.
Yeah, so from the very beginning, the show is actually, I can't go too deep into the technical aspect, but the show is designed to be easily adaptable into multiple languages. And it was actually initially produced in 3 languages, which is English, Swahili, and Hausa, just to test out that model of the easiness of adaptation. And the plan is within the next 2 to 3 years to adapt it into Kinyarwanda, Luganda, isiZulu, Sesotho, Yoruba, Hausa. There are multiple languages across the continent, and currently our other shows are available in 13 languages. And so we'll continue to work with the partners that we've been working with at the local level to really ensure the kind of maintenance of the authenticity and effectiveness as the show is adapted into these different languages in the next couple of years.
Okay, and where is the show currently playing? Where can our kids see it?
So it launched in, I think, 6 countries. We're continuing to add countries last week, including Tanzania, Namibia, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Africa. And in South Africa in particular, you can watch it on DBE, which I believe is the Department of Basic Education's TV network, as well as Cape Town TV on Sundays and repeats on Thursdays. And we're trying to add more stations as we go. A lot of broadcasters are really interested and excited, and hopefully we'll be bringing it to more stations in South Africa soon, including maybe SABC.
Hopefully. And good to see that our kids can now consume something even more meaningful on the small screen. Lovely chatting to you, Iman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and have a good morning.
Thank you. You too. We just spoke to the spokesperson of Ubongo, Iman Lipumba, on the launch of Nuzo and Namia, a new show that celebrates and encourages African children aged between 6 and 9 to think differently.